hypnotized, come on and have an experience. Oh, I can't be hypnotized is impossible.
Excellent.
Right.
So,
and then she wouldn't bring her fingers together. And I
no,
could
no,
see
I understand. That's because that's part of the frame that she's stuck inside. Yeah. So a couple of quick ways of dealing with this. Number one, it is a mindset that you have to break, right? So you can't persuade her that she can be, because that's just going to create more clash, right? I can't. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Yes, I can. I can prove it to you. All right, prove it to me. All right, you're right. Yeah. That's the conflict that you're creating. What you need to do is introduce doubt as to how she knows. You're creating doubt as to her reality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I'll give you, there's many ways to do this. The hypnotic reversals one and all kinds of stuff. But a very simple way of creating doubt is getting them to justify the statement. Oh, really? How do you know?
Yeah. How much do you know about hypnosis?
Right.
You're an expert on hypnosis?
Oh, you know, I went to a stage hypnotist once, and he did this funny thing, and it didn't work, right? Oh, I see. It's kind of like saying, you know, I went to a doctor in Mexico once, and he had no idea what, I don't know, whatever it was, which means that the hospitals in here can't help me either, can they? Well, maybe it was just a bad doctor. You think? Do you see where the implication is going on here? So it is possible, and then I'd go with the rapid reframe. I'm just going to hammer this in. You're telling me it is possible that there are hypnotists out there who aren't really that good. And if you met one of the really good ones, it might just work. Is that what you're saying? Okay, you willing to find out how good I am? Do you see where we're going with this?
Yeah. You know, you just try and turn it from I can't be to I don't think you'll be able to. You know, it's the same thing. Personally, I wouldn't proceed until I've at least got to that point.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to prove. If we want to have a hypnotic battle, she will win. I find that kicking the legs away from a lot of their misconceptions early on does that. So that to me is, I can't be hypnotized, there's no way that can happen. Might be born of 10 attempts on stage and it's never happened for her. It might just be that you know, most lay people believe exactly that, because they're seeing something so phenomenal that they just couldn't imagine how that could happen.
Right. So
I personally would not even be at this point until I'd at least got some shift in her stance. That could be, look, there's nothing to believe in. Whenever anyone says, I don't believe in hypnosis, I say, there's nothing to believe in. You know, it's not a religion, it's just a process I'm going to take you through. Everyone can do it, who's even got an average level of intelligence. Just to completely, now you're looking in the wrong place here. You need to understand a little more about what this is. And then if I get to this exercise, that the frame might be to illustrate what this is, what hypnosis is. And it applies to the other question of, I'd like to see someone else getting hypnotized. If you haven't got that luxury, I'd like to see how it works first. Then I'd just say, look, I'll show you how it works. I won't hypnotize you. Put your hands out in front of you. And I'll do exactly the same thing. The frame being, I'm going to show you how this works before we get to the hypnosis. So any objection that comes up, I just aim to kind of, without getting into a lengthy theoretical discussion, I just steamroll it as quickly as I can in a sentence, and find a reason to pull them back into my process. And the process can explain anything, illustrate anything.
Now, one thing just to add to that, and I agree with them saying speed is the essence here. If you spend half an hour trying to persuade this person, not only have you killed the vibe of the whole thing, you've put too much effort into it, which means it's proving that they were correct in the first place. Does that make sense? It's kind of a weird, kind of unconscious assumption. So speed is important. Now, one thing you may find happening, that even though you've set the reframe ahead of time and you've got them to justify what hypnosis is, really I don't know. Well, if you don't know what hypnosis is, how can you not go into it, right? It's actually a very powerful one. Most people just, they can't handle it, and that's good. Now, what can happen, and it's not infrequent either, is once they've accepted the possibility of hypnosis, that's the opening door, the wedge, but they're still using their assumptions to check back on what hypnosis is. So this happened to me in London. One of the students there was doing a stiff arm with someone, and the guy said, look, I can bend it, look, I can bend it, look, I can bend it, look, I can bend it. And then they'd say something else, and getting stiffer and stiffer, but I can still bend it. Now, can you see what the pattern's going on here right now? What's he doing? He's testing for failure, isn't he? He's testing for failure before he's had a chance to succeed yet. See how that works? And that's the part of the mindset, that's part of the reason this didn't work, because she's constantly testing for failure rather than testing for success, right? There's the opposite reaction, which is like, oh my God, my arm's feeling weird. It must be working. They haven't tested it yet, but they're already looking for success. Do you see the fundamental difference in the mindset? This is very important because you will see somewhere on the sliding scale of the two out there in the streets. Most people will be somewhere in the middle towards the testing for success side. But your example was one testing for failure. So what you must do at that point is you must put the testing for failure on hold. You don't have to get rid of it. You just pause it long enough to actually have an impact. Does that make sense to you guys? So a simple way of doing that, and I'm pleased, this is something we could spend probably 2 hours talking about, the nuances. So this is a principle that you can elaborate upon. Is that okay with you?
Yep.
So a simple example of what you can do to pause that is something as simple as the word yet, right? Look, I can bend it. Look, I can bend it. Of course you can bend it. We're not there yet. So just put your hand out for a moment and make it strong. Now don't test it yet, because we're not there yet. This isn't hypnosis. We're just starting something. I want you to notice, and then I might do like a dissociation. I want you to notice the arm, that arm over there, as you feel good inside your body. And maybe your mind floats out and looks at that arm as the body continues to feel great, because we're not there yet. It's not going to be locked yet, but it's beginning to lock. Do you see where we're going with this? So you have to put that testing mechanism on hold, and then at some point, he actually gave me this, he's thinking like, yeah, okay. I said, now how's the arm feeling? It's weird. Like gives me that opening wedge, because I've got him to test for failure, for success. He's told me that he's testing for success, even though I haven't asked him to test it fully yet. If it said, I can still bend it, I know I'm not there yet. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
that happened several times. So it's out there, says, so how does the arm feel now? Well, I can still bend it. That's right, we're not there yet. But how does the arm feel? Do you see what I'm constantly moving his attention towards? It's kind of a little bit of the non-awareness that going on. So that's a mindset that you need to look out for. But again, just to reemphasize what Anthony was saying, that's not where I start. The starting point has to be, I've got to drive a wedge into their belief system around what hypnosis really is, and I've got to do it quickly. I've got to get them to accept the possibility of the fact that they really don't know what hypnosis is, and whatever they thought it was might not be it. As long as I have doubt, I'm good to go.
Yeah. And just, she may just really not get it and think that her job is to fight. And
No, I think she was quite proud of the ability not to be hypnotized.
A lot of people
leave her
and then
feeling proud of
that.
herself.
You see, the way you steal it is to make her proud about succeeding in hypnosis, because that's a challenge for him. Oh, I can't be hypnotized. That's such a shame. Yeah, really. Do you know how much you're missing out? What do you mean? Do you see where we're going with this?
Yes.
So this is where you have to be a little bit of an amateur psychologist, and just you've got to know what the value is, the motivation people have, so you can use that as leverage for whatever frames you present and so on. Does that answer your first two questions?
Yep, first two. Let's see what it looks like, and I can't be